He watched his wife fly every day with a smile, with a kiss, with her silence. She thought he was in Dallas on a business trip. She didn't know he was watching her in real time from a hotel just 20 minutes away. And when he walked back into the house, she didn't just lose her husband. She lost everything. This wasn't heartbreak. This was revenge done right. My name is Daniel Whitmore. I'm 42, born and raised in Raleigh, North Carolina. I run a logistics consultancy firm I built from scratch. For 2 decades, I've turned chaos into structure for some of the world's biggest corporations. I read patterns, assess threats, act with precision. So how did I miss her? My wife, Elena, was the kind of woman who walked into a room and made you forget what you were doing. Sharp wit, brighter smile, a laugh that made you feel like you were part of a secret only she knew. When we met, I thought I'd won some invisible lottery. She said she loved my drive, my discipline, the way I could decode people's intentions before they even spoke. But people change. Or maybe they just stop hiding. It started small. A new scent after showers, jasmine, not her usual vanilla. I asked and she deflected. You got a new body wash on sale? No eye contact, just a dismissive laugh. Her phone habits shifted. She used to leave it lying around like a coaster. Now it was always glued to her hand, always face down, always locked. She slept with it under her pillow. The lies didn't start with words. They started with behavior. We'd been married nearly 8 years. No kids, just the two of us. We had routines. Morning coffee, dinner a few nights a week, date nights. We weren't perfect, but we were solid, or I thought we were. She worked for a nonprofit in women's health. Low stress, low pay, predictable hours. Then came the late nights, the gym classes, the book clubs. But when I checked the GPS history on her car, she wasn't going to the gym or the library, and she definitely wasn't reading novels. I got paranoid. Then I got methodical. I told her I had a business trip in Austin, a logistics conference I made up. She smiled, kissed me, told me to be safe. That night, I booked a hotel under an alias 20 minutes from home. Then I called Harrison Lee, an old friend from the Army, who now runs a private security firm in D.C. I told him I needed surveillance gear. No questions asked. 3 hours later, I had 3 micro cameras, each no bigger than a lipstick tube, installed in our home, bedroom, kitchen, living room, all feeding directly to my secure tablet. That evening, she got ready for her yoga session. Silk robe, light makeup, curled hair, not gym clothes. She didn't just leave the house. She left behind her illusion. At 2:13 p.m. the next afternoon, the curtain dropped. A man, mid-30s, dark hair, smug confidence, walked into my house like he paid the mortgage. I recognized him. Drew Parker, former coworker. Met him once at a fundraiser. Harmless, I thought. They kissed in the hallway. Not like people sneaking around. Like people who live together. Laughter. Champagne. A robe dropped. Lingerie I'd never seen. But it wasn't the affair that crushed me. It was her smile. The kind I hadn't seen in years. She wasn't cheating in a moment. She was building a life. One where I didn't exist, except as a funding source and cover story. I didn't drink. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I planned. I cataloged everything. Screenshots, timestamps, footage. Traced her debit card to a luxury Airbnb across town. They had a hideaway. I wasn't just going to confront her. I was going to dismantle her. Her parents adored me. Her mother, Margaret Reyes, once said I was the best decision Elena ever made. Her father, retired Sheriff Raymond Reyes, used to take me hunting. They thought Elena was a saint. That was about to change. I called them, invited them for lunch, said, "It's about Elena. You need to see it with your own eyes." Raymond asked if she was okay. I said, "Not physically. Morally? That's another story." They agreed to come. I promised clarity. By Friday, I knew Drew Parker's schedule better than he did. He arrived at 2:15 p.m., left by 5:30. Never stayed the night. Used my glasses, our couch pillows, my vinyls, even wore my hoodie once. But rage? It wasn't loud. It was surgical. Saturday at 1:59 p.m., Margaret and Raymond pulled into the driveway. I watched from my rental SUV nearby, tablet in hand. Cameras live. Elena answered the door. Satin robe, makeup perfect, hair curled. Raymond raised an eyebrow. Didn't know you had company. I didn't know you were coming, she said, startled. What's going on? Daniel called. Margaret said it was urgent, that we needed to see something. Elena tried to recover. That's odd. He told me he was in Austin. Raymond narrowed his eyes. So, why are you dressed like you're expecting someone? She laughed, forced brittle. Just getting ready for a bath. Long week. They followed her into the living room. Margaret sat. Raymond stood by the window. Elena offered water, tried to steer things away. At 2:28 p.m., the tablet vibrated. Motion detected at the front door. Drew Parker. Wine. Chocolate. Strawberries. Confident. Stupid. Raymond opened the door before Elena could stop him. Hey, babe, Drew said. I got the... He froze. Raymond. Margaret. Elena. All staring. Who are you? Raymond said flatly. A delivery? Drew stammered. You said, babe. Margaret snapped. I think I have the wrong house. Drew. Elena whispered. Raymond turned. What did he just call you? Dad, it's not what you think. Who is he? We're just friends. Drew tried. I didn't know she was. You knew I was her husband, I said, stepping through the doorway. Elena's face drained. Drew paled. Margaret looked gutted. Raymond? Pure rage. I thought you were in Austin, Elena whispered. I said, watching this house from a hotel room while you danced with that idiot in my robe. I held up the folder. Surveillance stills. Receipts. Screenshots. 6 days of betrayal. Is this a joke? Margaret whispered, taking a photo. I wish it was. Raymond stepped forward. You brought this man into your marital home while your husband worked to provide this life. Elena's knees gave. I didn't plan this. I didn't. You did, I said. Every fake appointment. Every lie. Raymond turned to Drew. Get out. Now. Before I show you what a real man looks like. Drew backed up. Raymond stepped forward. Combat veterans had less rage in their posture. You disrespect my daughter, my family, and this man, he growled. You walking like a dog marking territory? Then he swung. One clean hit. Drew dropped the wine. Stumbled. Raymond grabbed him again, slammed him against the wall. Margaret screamed. But he didn't punch again. He didn't need to. The silence afterward said more than any scream could. Drew bolted. I turned to Elena. You have 1 hour to pack. Your name is off every account by morning. I didn't mean... You meant all of it. You just didn't mean to get caught. I dropped the folder on the coffee table beside her shaking hand. Your affair ends now. Your marriage ended the moment you called him babe in my house. I have a prenup and 37 gigabytes of proof. You'll walk away with nothing but your parents' disappointment. Raymond stood beside me. Elena, he said quietly, I didn't raise you to be this. She collapsed onto the couch, sobbing. But no one moved, because sometimes the people who love you most are the first ones who have to walk away. Elena didn't speak for a long time after Drew left. Her face was blank, her eyes hollow. It wasn't just shame. It was realization. The mask was gone, and so was everything behind it. Margaret sat motionless on the edge of the couch, her hands trembling in her lap. She stared at the floor like it would offer some explanation for her daughter's actions. Raymond stood in the corner of the room, back straight, arms crossed, watching Elena like she was a stranger who had trespassed. I didn't say anything. I just handed her the final page in the folder, a printed copy of our prenuptial agreement. Her signature was still clear at the bottom. The infidelity clause was highlighted in yellow. Her mouth opened to speak, but no sound came out. You forfeited everything, I said calmly. There's no alimony, no claim to the house, no stake in the business, not even the dog if we had one. She swallowed hard. You're ending this just like that? No, I said. You ended it the second you invited another man into my bed. Raymond exhaled through his nose like he was holding back everything he wanted to say. You didn't just betray your husband, he said. You disrespected your mother, your name, our family. I was lonely, Elena whispered. You were dishonest, I shot back. And instead of facing the issues in our marriage, you sought attention. You didn't try. You escaped. Her voice cracked. I wasn't happy. Then leave, Margaret said, her voice icy and trembling. But don't pretend this was someone else's fault. Don't pretend we're supposed to applaud you for what you did. The silence afterward was suffocating. Then Elena did the thing I least expected. She got angry. You were never home, she snapped, standing suddenly, fists clenched at her sides. You loved your work more than you loved me. You didn't see me anymore. I was just another fixture in your house. And when I tried to talk about it, you looked at me like I was overreacting. I didn't flinch. Maybe I failed to prioritize you. Maybe I drowned myself in work. But you didn't leave. You didn't fight. You didn't say you were done. You said, I do. And then you said, come over, to someone else. She wiped her face and turned to her mother. You always told me to marry a man who'd give me everything. I got everything, and it wasn't enough. That's because you never learned how to be grateful, Margaret said, her eyes glistening. I turned to Raymond. You asked earlier why involve you? Why not confront her alone? He nodded, because she would have spun it, denied it, made me the villain. But I needed you both to see the truth, because you're the only people she might still care about disappointing. Raymond stepped forward and looked Elena in the eyes. You are not welcome in our home. Not like this. Not until you face what you've done. Until you take responsibility for who you've become. You're on your own. Elena collapsed onto the couch again, and no one moved to comfort her this time. It was done. The foundation had cracked. The facade had fallen. Everything she'd built on lies was now ashes. I gave her 1 hour to pack. Raymond and Margaret stayed while she gathered her things in silence. I walked into the bedroom and stood there watching her fold sweaters and zip up bags. She didn't look at me. What was it really? I asked quietly. Why him? She hesitated, then whispered. Because he listened, he looked at me like I mattered, and I didn't feel invisible when I was with him. You know what hurts the most? I said, it's not that you cheated. It's that you didn't think I could handle the truth. She turned in, eyes red. Would you have forgiven me? No, I said, but I would have respected your honesty. She zipped her last bag. Where am I supposed to go? Start with the apartment your lover rented for you. Or maybe call one of the friends who helped cover for you. But you're not staying here. Not tonight. Not ever again. When she walked out that door with her bags, Raymond closed it behind her. No ceremony. No parting words. Just a heavy, final silence. Afterward, I stood in the middle of the living room and stared at the wreckage. The broken wine bottles still stained the rug. The photos I laid out had been gathered, packed into a file for legal records. Her perfume still lingered faintly in the air. Raymond walked over and extended his hand. You didn't just expose her, he said. You exposed yourself to all of us, and you showed us what real strength looks like. Thank you, I said. He nodded. If you ever need anything, Margaret and I are here. After they left, I turned off the lights in the house, one room at a time. I didn't cry. I didn't drink. I didn't break anything. I just let the silence settle, a silence that finally belonged to me. The morning after Elena left, the house felt like a stranger. There was a surreal quiet, like the air had thinned out overnight. No faint hum of her curling iron. No scent of her coffee blend wafting from the kitchen. No sound of slippered footsteps padding down the hallway. But it wasn't sadness that filled the space. It was relief. I got up earlier than usual, and stood in front of the bedroom mirror, the same one where I'd watched Elena perfect herself for someone else. I looked tired, but not broken. I was still standing, and now I was finally free. At exactly 8 a.m., I called my attorney, Lena Crawford. She wasn't just one of the top family lawyers in Raleigh. She was relentless, meticulous, and didn't flinch when emotions got messy. Elena violated the fidelity clause. I told her, I have evidence. Photos, footage, witnesses. She didn't ask how I got it. Send me everything, she said. We'll file immediately. And Daniel, this is going to be a surgical process. No mess, no loopholes. We're going to end this clean, just the way I liked it. After the call, I spent the next 4 hours cleaning the house, not because it was dirty, but because I needed to reclaim it. I stripped the sheets, tossed out every candle that reminded me of her, boxed up her shoes, and left them in the garage. The bed felt bigger, the air lighter. I wasn't mourning. I was restoring. By Tuesday afternoon, the divorce papers were filed, and Elena's messages started rolling in again. Voicemail 1. Please just talk to me. We can fix this. I'll go to therapy. I'll do anything. Voicemail 2. You're trying to erase me, but we had a life. That doesn't just disappear. Voicemail 3. I made a mistake. Don't let one mistake ruin everything. But it wasn't one mistake. It was 6 months of secrets. 6 months of treating me like a background character in my own life. And the worst part, she never confessed. I had to uncover every inch of the truth myself. I never replied. By the end of the week, she tried a different tactic. Her friend Nicole, her co-worker, texted me. Elena's a mess. She's not eating. Maybe you could meet her for just one conversation. I didn't answer. I wasn't her rescue plan. She didn't want to fix things. She wanted to rewind time and pretend the damage wasn't permanent. That Friday, I made a decision. I wasn't going to survive this quietly. I was going to build something new. I cleared out the guest room and turned it into an office for personal projects I'd shelved for years. I enrolled in a weekend woodworking course, something I used to love before marriage consumed my schedule. I even took a trip to Asheville, rented a cabin for 2 nights, stared at the stars like they owed me an explanation. For the first time in years, I wasn't being anyone's provider, protector, or prop. I was just Daniel. One night around 11 p.m., I got a message from a name I hadn't seen in a while, Claire Donovan. We'd worked together years ago on a regional shipping contract. Smart, grounded, quick to laugh. We got along well, but I was married at the time. Now I wasn't, she wrote. Heard what happened. I'm sorry. If you ever need someone to talk to or just someone to sit silently over bourbon with, I'm around. I smiled, not because I was ready for something new, but because I had finally closed the last page of what was. That weekend, I went back through all the surveillance footage one last time, not out of pain, but out of clarity. I needed to understand the full shape of the betrayal, and what struck me most, how normal it all looked. Elena smiling, laughing, pouring wine, resting her head on Drew's shoulder. She looked happy, effortlessly happy. When it hit me, I realized she didn't just cheat on me. She outgrew the version of us she created. But instead of facing that truth, she ran. I didn't. I faced it head on. I exposed it. I brought it into the light and let it burn. That's the difference. By Monday, the divorce was already moving fast. Elena tried calling again. This time, her voicemail sounded different. She said, I told Drew it's over. I ended it. I didn't realize what I had until I lost it. I don't want to be without you. I can change. Please don't shut me out forever. I didn't even press play a second time. Forgiveness without accountability is just permission for repeat offenses. I wasn't looking back anymore. I was rebuilding, clean, alone, and finally honest. 2 weeks after Elena walked out of my house and my life, I received a formal request through her attorney. She wanted a meeting, not to negotiate the divorce, but to apologize face-to-face. Lena, my lawyer, advised against it. She'll try to manipulate the moment, she warned. Don't give her that stage. But I agreed anyway. Not for her. For me. We met at a neutral mediation office. Beige walls, bottled water, fake plants, all designed to make bad decisions feel a little softer. Elena walked in wearing a muted dress, minimal makeup, her posture smaller somehow. She said my name like it didn't belong to her anymore. I didn't respond with a greeting. I just wanted you to know I'm not fighting the divorce, she said softly. I'm not here to beg. I know what I did. I nodded. Good. She blinked. That's it? You didn't come here for closure. You came here hoping I'd tell you you're still the woman I married. And I'm not, she asked. No, I said. That woman wouldn't have made me the last to know. She breathed in, shaky. I've ended things with Drew. I know. He called me, actually. Her eyes widened. He what? I leaned back. He was scared I'd leak the footage. Worried about his job, his reputation. Asked me to be fair. Said he had no idea you were still invested in your marriage. Her face flushed red. He said that? He did. The silence stretched. Then I pulled out the final envelope. Inside were copies of text messages I'd subpoenaed, not just between her and Drew, but between Elena and a friend named Camille, someone she confided in. The messages were cruel, mocking, strategizing. In one, Elena even joked, Daniel could walk in on us and still be too polite to scream. Poor guy's just wired for control, not confrontation. Her lips parted as she recognized her own words. You went through my... No, I cut in. Your friend turned on you. She forwarded everything once she saw what kind of person you'd become. Elena covered her face with her hands. And that was the last moment she ever had power over me. I'm not angry anymore, I said. Just done. And believe it or not, I hope you figure yourself out. Because whatever this was, this person you became, I hope she wasn't really you. Tears streamed down her cheeks, but I didn't feel satisfaction. I felt peace. Because revenge isn't slamming doors or shouting matches. It's standing in front of the person who broke you and not breaking at all. We signed the final papers 1 week later. No appeals. No second chances. Just a clean end. Since then, I repainted the bedroom, got a dog, started jogging again. And last month, Claire and I shared a laugh over bourbon, just like she promised we would. We're not rushing anything. We're just being honest. It's strange how quiet freedom can be, and how right